Alright, we're fixing to wet sand this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna wet sand everything from about here up in the center of this hood. We're gonna do the roof, these door pillars A and B here up, okay, all around, and this whole back of the cab. The reason is we're gonna paint everything from here in black up to right here black, and that center of the hood is going to be black. The reason we're not going to wet sand the whole truck is because we don't care if we get a little bit of overspray on everything when we're painting, and then we'll wet sand the rest of the truck later. If I was to go ahead and wet sand the whole truck and got a little overspray on something, I'd just have to sand it again. So we'll just go ahead and leave that alone. We'll go ahead and paint. See these humps, this is going to be black. And then we'll let that sit. Then we'll go ahead and get it taped off, masked off, because then we'll have to mask everything up back of the cab. Then we'll get, we'll wet sand the truck first, and then we'll get everything taped up, masked off. And then we'll go ahead and paint the bottoms of the doors, the bottoms of the cab corners, or from there anyways down, you know, left and right of the hood, both fenders, red and everything down all the way bottom. We're going to cover up that black undercoating. And then we're not sure what we're going to do, if we're going to paint, you know, this here. We haven't decided yet. I got to clean this up a little bit, and then we'll get this bumper mounted on, and then we'll paint. We're going to finish the painting's going to be done. The red's going to be painted last. I want to get this bumper back on because I'm going to need somewhere to stand to do the both sides of the hood. Just make it easier. Now we found a littler bucket. That's actually a paint mixing bucket that I bought for like 50 cents somewhere. So if I need to use it later, I'm going to have to wash it out at some lacquer center. Anyways, you want to put your paper in there and let it sit for 15-20 minutes. What that'll do is that'll soften the paper up. It won't hurt it. It'll soften it up so that when you fold it around your pad, you don't have any like sharp, crinkly edges. And then we'll go ahead and get started here in a few minutes. Alright, now you can tell the difference. See how the water sheens on the sanded spot and it just beads off there? Listen to this. Now listen to this. This is like glass. Okay, I did that center. Everything you see wet here, I did here. Okay, all the way around. All the way around. The whole entire roof. This back here, all the way down the side. I didn't necessarily do out here, but I did in here, because this from here and here is where I'm worried about the paint. This basically this line right here, and then any overspray, you know, will get sanded down flat again. It's okay if you burn through in a couple places, because I had actually trimmed this out with black. Now when I paint it black, it's definitely going to be black in there. You know what I mean? Get in all the little nooks and crannies. There shouldn't be any bumps, any rough spots. If there is, you know, you just get your piece of sandpaper and go back over it. I've actually gone over this a couple of different times. You can see a few burn throughs. Other than that, we're going to let this dry off for a couple hours. And we'll wipe it down with wax and grease remover. After we get it back in the building, I'll actually blow the building out and put some black down. That's all we know. Did the same over here. That's a fender from my Volkswagen I had a small ding in it. I got the ding out. Then what I did is I 80 gritted, or actually I painted this whole fender, and it's been sitting for about a month. And you can just barely see a ding right there. So I ground it down to where you can see the high spot. Then I tapped it down till you couldn't feel it no more. It was a little bit lower. Blasted 2 or 3 coats of some rattle can primer on it. Let that dry, you know, probably till tomorrow. I will wet sand that with some 600 to see if I've gotten my dent out. And then that's to replace my damaged fender on my Volkswagen. And we have the Dodge back in the building. Yes, that is the heater running. It's 75 degrees out, and I have the heater running and a fan going. What I'm doing is getting some air movement in here. I've waxed and grease removered everything, made sure the truck was dry, wiped everything down with wax and grease remover. Then you need to let it flash off. You can see it's still shiny up there. So I'll go up to the house, get something to drink, let this heat run. Hell, it's 90 degrees in here. See, I've gotten the humidity down to about 68% or so. It was on 100 here a little while ago. So we'll let that flash off. We'll turn the heater off and then turn the exhaust fan on right before I get ready to paint. I got everything laid out on the bench. Everything figured what I'm gonna do. And there we go. All right, there's coat number 1. You can tell it's flashing off by the, yeah, it kind of looks purplish. Kind of looks like it's changing colors. That means it's ready for coat number 2. All right, there it is, 2 coats. It's 2 pretty wet coats anyways. The center stripe. And then we're going to paint everything from here down is going to be red. I'm going to try and keep black in that lip, even though it's going to be covered up with weather strip. Then we'll tape it off, run it red down to here, tape this off at this body line, and run red down. Everything from here over is going to be red. We're going to run that red right to this edge, all the way around. There's going to be a big box up against here. You're not going to see where I transitioned it anyways. And what I'll do is I'll put the line, the cutoff line back behind here. So really you won't feel it at all anyways. See this flashing off, it's changing funky colors. That's what throws you off when you got base coat and clear coat. This does not dry like it's shiny or dries looking like it should. It dries real funky looking. Got the back gun. 2 coats in the front. Got to get up on the step ladder and do it from the sides. And climb up on the back and paint the rest of the roof. Same over here. Then what I did is I had a tiny bit left in my gun. And to see if you got your dent out, paint your fender black. Then sand it, wet sand it. I'm just using this for filler paint. I actually plastered it on so much it ran. It's a run right there. But there's a big scratch right there. I'm going to fill that scratch in. There's another scratch right here. I filled it in, and then I'll just wet sand this back down. I'll put another heavy coat on there with what I got left. Then when I get ready to put this fender on the car, I got some more green paint. I'll wet sand this down and put the green on it, put the fender on the car. There's my fender with 2 coats on it. Got the truck back outside. Literally from the time I wet sanded it to the time it's back out, 2 hours. I mean, you can see it's flattening out now. It's getting a lot flatter. Over here it's just flat. No more of that funky looking hewn. Got a couple dings in the back of the cab, but they're going to be covered up, so we don't worry about those. This fender was caved in. Big dent right here where your hand is. This fender was caved in, and it's actually still got a low spot that you can actually see because the dusting of the black paint now. Right there. This was pulled back out. Okay. Got to stick the headlight up there, make sure it fits okay, and that's the only body work I have left to do is make sure this is okay. round off this edge a little bit more. Other than that, it's almost ready for red paint here pretty quick. A couple of days. So now I'll probably wet sand it tomorrow. Get this fixed. Get that finished. I'll hit this with some 80 grit, put another skim coat over that, and then finish that off. And then that'll be it.